There's a big fat one, a skinny one, and a medium-sized one. I love Formula Drift.
Matt Shulman is still on top with the 69. No stranger to drifting, no stranger to competition.
That guy stole my freaking ratchet wrench. I see that. That's mine. This is a stimulator, right?
The pole petition. He rejects your reality and asserted his own. Pilot.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Climpy Point. My name is Captain Man and joining me is Mr.
Tim Murphy.
Hello.
Hello. I was going to start it off a different way, but we'll feed into something else right there.
Okay,
Later on.
good. Later on.
Yeah, later on.
All right. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. You, sir?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of traveling for work, so it's been a really busy month. December has flown by despite the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And haven't had any time to really work on the car. I've got several parts in and they're just sitting around.
Okay.
So it kind of sucks there. But I'll get back working on it soon. Yeah.
One omission that if you guys have noticed is that Mr. Paul Murphy couldn't join us.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Just like yeah, he's not here. Not feeling well, feeling under the weather, trying not to spread the Rona, I guess. I don't think he has the Rona. I think he's just not feeling well. There's a lot of people have been getting sick lately.
Right.
And now
I got sick not too long ago.
You did get sick. And then with this Arctic blast that's hitting Florida, I think some people said they might see snow up in like the Tallahassee area this week.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, might be a white Christmas for some of the Floridians up there.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, not down here though.
Right.
But it's supposed to be in the high 40s tomorrow.
Oh, that's gonna be wild.
Just in time for Christmas because it's been it really has been a hot fall. I don't think it's dropped much below 80 degrees.
Wait, you're saying we're not in winter? I thought we were.
Well, usually fall we get a cold front.
Oh, okay.
And winter starts at the beginning of December, right?
I forgot.
Something
I'm not.
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really have a winter, so
Right.
we just have like a summer and a fall. So, but yes, we haven't had any cold fronts. Typically, we get a little cold front, drops in the 60s early in October and November, but this year it's been 90s and high 80s up until this week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna actually have. Well, one of the first things we want to talk about is some of the major events that have occurred lately, and one of the major news items that occurred is the cancellation of the 2023 season of the Klutch Kickers series.
Yes, and that being said, welcome to the Klutch Kickers $100,000 Drift Series. Coming to you from nowhere.
Oh, boy.
For 2023. That broke my heart.
Yeah, me too.
Because that's something we've been a part of for the last couple of years.
Right.
And not having that in our schedule is going to be kind of odd. But it's going to free us up for other things.
Right.
Other potential things that are in the works that we can't announce yet.
Right. It was... And again, we've mentioned this several times, and we can't stress this enough, is that they keep us in the dark for a lot of it. So we were just as surprised as everybody else.
We found out the same way, actually, I think.
Right.
As everybody else. It was a post on there. Maybe you didn't. I didn't. I didn't found out from a post that was on Instagram.
Well, what was strange is that it basically started with this video that was put out by Brandon Winnick.
Yes, that's right.
Talking about how, I guess his predictions or what he's heard so far, talking about this 2023 season. And he mentioned some things that we didn't even know about.
Yes.
Such as the organization downsizing, some people getting fired, some things that, again, I was completely surprised by it. So I was just like, okay, what does he know?
Yeah.
Because
he's got the inside scoop.
Right, exactly. And the fact that, okay, well, so there's a leak.
Yes, there's a mole.
Yeah, there's a mole. There's a leak that's releasing this information. And I think at the same time, this was at a point where the only other news item that came about from Klutch Kickers at the time was them announcing that round 5 was canceled. And then it was getting closer to the end of the year.
Right.
We weren't hearing anything.
No.
Their social media channels were practically silent.
Right.
And I think for a lot of the drivers, the competitors, it was imperative for them to know exactly what was going to take place, what was going to happen, because again, they have these builds to kind of prep for.
Right.
You had drivers that were purposely either purchasing or building vehicles just for the Klutch Kickers series.
Yeah, I know.
And they needed to know exactly what was going to happen because they got to set up the cars, they got to set up budgets, and all these things that to take into account in order for them to have a successful season, for them to be able to take part in all of the rounds. But the fact of the matter is that not a lot of information was coming out. And the next thing out of nowhere, out of left field, Brandon Whitnick comes out with this video.
Right.
And we're like, okay, the speculation is up high.
Right.
What is going on? What does he know that we don't?
Right.
And then it was only a matter of time. And I think that video prompted Klutch Kickers to make a statement.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. That putting out a video that could start rumors or make unnecessary claims that they don't. When you hear something that may be misinformation or maybe it's true, right? Apparently, it did seem to be true. That they gotta come out and say, okay, we got to make an announcement, either because we don't want the word of mouth going around. If we plan to do a season, we don't want this to get out and people rumors start to spread that we're not going to have a season when we are going to have a season. But also they want the drivers and everybody hear it from them, right? Nobody wants to hear it. You don't want anybody to hear what your future plans are from somebody else. You want to be the one to announce that.
And I think on top of that, Cletus with the Freedom Factory, they announced their date, the schedule of events for the whole year. And everybody noticed that Klutch Kickers wasn't a part of it.
Right. Well, that was already something that I think a lot of people, especially that were close to Klutch Kickers, knew that Klutch Kickers really didn't want to do another season there. They wanted to spread it out either over other venues or possibly get back to Emerald Coast Dragway. But as the season progressed, that became less and less of a reality.
But then the news came out, and that was the news that shocked the drifting world. Yeah. And when it happened, that was just kind of like a low blow, like, punch to the gut.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was more. It was not only about the missed opportunity to be able to take part on all of these all these events and so forth, but the fact is that I was already sort of getting things ready for the whole series, the whole season. Yeah. And then now all of a sudden it's like those plans kind of turned upside down. It's like, well, I mean, I don't want to go into details about it.
Right, I got you.
But at the same time, it's sort of like, well, that's a bummer because then it's not only about just these things that I was getting ready for, and then so those plans are out the window. But then everybody else that just all of the interactions that we would have with all the drivers and everybody that would take part in the event.
I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah, it was one of those things that, like for me, made the event special. Yeah, is the fact that it's like catching up with familiar faces. Yeah, drivers, seeing what they're up to, seeing exactly what they did to get the car ready. For the event, what changes have they done? What sort of mindset are they in?
Did they have any kids?
That's right. Yeah,
Hamilton
exactly.
And Cletus.
Right. Dirk Stratton.
That's right. Yeah,
he had his kid, and so those moments, and also the just the journey, the traveling. Because in itself, it's just something that it's quite fun that you sort of like go back and think about like those times, like for me, just driving up to Emerald Coast and stopping by Buc-ee's every time along the way.
Buc-ee's.
And so those are just things that made it really fun in itself, apart from everything else that transpired throughout the whole weekend while you're there.
Right.
So, and then of course, talking about season 1 and 2, the
Right.
island, the after party, all of
Yeah.
those moments, and all of that is just evaporated.
Right. So, and that was one of the things I liked about Klutch Kickers as well that you mentioned. It was that road trip, right? I know for me back in the day, I'm older in the game, and I didn't get drifting. I didn't get into drifting till later in life, until my 30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in my 20s and even younger than that, going to races and making these road trips.
Right.
Going to car shows back in the day. We used to have Invitationals, which was in Atlanta. So we would take these long road trips and just have those memories. A lot of good memories. Even if bad things were happening, cars breaking down, it was still good memories. So going to Klutch Kickers, making that road trip, traveling up to Holt or Crestview and the whole
Bradenton.
Fort Walton, right? Bradenton.
Well, I'm sorry, you're talking about
I'm talking
season
about
1
when it was
too.
far.
Yeah.
And that part of the Klutch Kickers, that brought me back to that, right? Because we would have times where Paul and Noel and Gabby are all lost in off some exit, and I'm somewhere else, and you're somewhere else, and we're trying to see who's going to get there first, and we're
Right.
talking back and forth. What mile marker are you on? And
Right.
and just having that fun, stopping at different restaurants,
You almost losing windshield.
almost losing a windshield. Paul's car leaking, the truck leaking water out of his. Yeah, just a lot of good memories, a lot of fun. Stopping at these little hole in the wall restaurants along the way. It brought me back to those days, and I enjoyed that road trip aspect of the journey. And then even when it was in Sarasota, Bradenton, it was fun, right? It was closer. We were relieved. We were able to make the trip there in 3 hours and come back to say after the event and be home in time, to be able to have family time and not have to take those extra days off of work. So that was less stressful on that aspect. But yeah, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss those road trips.
Right.
Definitely.
One thing I do want to mention is that we got Alex Pack in the chat who mentions that tons of sponsorship obligations, and that's another major aspect of it is that you have you're kind of indebted yourself. You've made these signed these contracts to be able to like make present yourself to these events.
Yeah.
Because obviously you want to promote the brand.
Right.
And put yourself out there and put the brand's face out there.
Yeah.
And now those opportunities are out too because you had to actually there's a deadline too for all these drivers to actually sign up with these brands because for all we know, like they only have a certain amount of spots.
Right.
And they want to sign them up as soon as possible. And then with the uncertainty of the series, you're sort of kind of losing time, and then of course it's causing issues with the brands themselves to figure out like, okay, well, is it or is it not happening?
Right, you have to let them know. I just want to pause, do a little commercial real quick, just because I forgot to do it in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Anybody that is watching tonight, if you're already subscribed to the channel, just shoot us a message. They can message us through YouTube or no?
Yeah, they can.
Okay, send us a message with your address information, because that'd be still private, right? If they message us through YouTube or no?
Yeah, there should be.
Or,
we gotta look at the legal.
Message us through our Instagram. Send us a message through our Instagram page, and up until midnight of Christmas Day, so all through Christmas Day, if you really trying to get new subscribers, so if you subscribe to the channel or share it, I'm just giving away these shirts. I have different shirts that I used to sell shirts a while ago, and I got a bunch of extras. So here's I call it the Angry Piston. I have this in, I think I have this in blue and white. And I have this. This is like, if you guys are into anime, it's like the Laughing Man from Ghost in the Shell.
That's
But
like your flexing shirt.
yes, this is like your flexing. So I have a tank top, but I think I have this another. I'm just kidding. I have girl sizes too.
Okay.
So just send us your address and your shirt size, female, male, whatever. And I'm gonna send you a shirt for free. But the idea is I want, new subscribers. If you are a current subscriber, we're not going to exclude you guys. Shoot us a message, get us your information. And I have a ton of these shirts. I was trying to sell,
go ahead, keep going.
I was trying to sell shirts for a while, me and my wife, and I have totes and totes of these shirts, and I just got to get rid of them. So my wife wants me to throw them away, but I figure why throw them away? I can give them to everybody that's new subscribers, and why waste them, right? So I just need your shirt size, male or female, and it's gonna be a random shirt. I may not have your size in every option, but I'll throw some stuff in and you'll get it in the package. But up until midnight of Christmas Day. So please, like I said, share, subscribe to I want to get rid of these shirts. They're nice shirts. I actually have a lot of them. A lot of times I wear them like Chris Jackson, right? I just wear those shirts instead of buying new clothes. I just wear those and I throw those away. No, joking. Yeah, so that's it. That's the commercial.
Okay.
That's pretty lame. But free stuff. Free stuff is good. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I just had to make
An adjustment?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyhow, yes, if you are already subscribed, then shoot us a message on the YouTubes or the Instagram page. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That's really what I want to see. I want to see, get some extra subscribers. I'd like to be able to hit 1,000 soon. Yeah. What you doing over there?
I'm just gonna make adjustments. There.
Making adjustments? Oh, okay.
I don't need that anymore.
I've had this
All right.
dry. I think it's because the wind's blowing right on my face. I'm gonna move that real quick. I'll make an adjustment.
Oh, okay. All right. In any case, so while we got that going on, you right there?
Yep.
Don't trip over anything.
Nope. Okay, so back where we are. Klutch Kickers.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely. Oh boy, yeah, that's even worse. Oh well, no big deal.
Let it ride.
Yeah, exactly. I'll keep adjusting.
So yes, I'm gonna miss the road trips. I'm gonna miss seeing all those guys. We made a lot of just had a lot of good contacts, right? We got to make friends and meet people that we never had a chance. We only ever saw on YouTube. We never really got a chance to meet in person. So be able to develop those relationships and those friendships that'll last for a couple years. It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna suck to not have that like reunion that we have every time we go to Klutch Kickers.
Right. Yeah. So that's another major. You know what? The other thing that I find very odd, very strange, is that how dark the Klutch Kickers Instagram has gone. Like we haven't heard anything else.
Right. That was it.
They just made that post and that was it.
Well, there's nothing to promote.
Right.
Right. Have you gone to the website?
You know what? I haven't. I haven't gone to the
I wonder
website.
what it's like.
But it at the same time, it kind of feels. I don't know if the word is the service to Adam LZ for just the charge that he made throughout the season.
Right.
Right, and he almost had an undefeated season, almost.
But some would say that was a little controversial the way he lost. Right, there was some debate on that loss.
Right, and just the way how it unfolded at the end, it's like, wow, it's where's the ceremony? Where is the
anticlimactic?
Right, exactly. Where's the bottles popping, and all those things taking place? And I don't know. I just think that it would have been nice to be able to just do something for him, for not just him, but everybody else, first, second, and third in the series, to be able to celebrate, commemorate their hard work that they've put through throughout the season this year.
Yeah.
But I just think that the way what happened is just, Alex just pointed out the merch store is down.
It's funny. I was just about ready to click on that.
Right.
See the shot. Yeah, I'm on the page now. The page is up. I mean, it still has like Klutch Kickers TV.
Right.
It has all their after movies on there. But yeah, I didn't go up to their merch yet. I was kind of clicking through. Wow. Okay. Yeah, they still have like register for round 5 up on here. Huh. They did a really good job of branding themselves. With the steering wheels, working with Grip Royal and developing the steering wheel and always making those new shirts, those themed shirts. It really is. It's crazy. It's weird. It's weird to see that they're not. And they ran everything very well, just a well organized event. And the money, the payouts. A lot of people thought, I don't know if it's because of the money, if that's what ended up being it, or was it just they couldn't come to an agreement with Cletus as far as a season. Maybe there was a lot of conflicting events. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. There really is.
Right. One very nice thing was the way how the community reacted to it, and then how quick they were trying to sort of deal with the situation, to try to help with the situation.
Yeah.
Like I heard of tracks, I think it was Summit Point. I think that they were like, hey, like we, if you want to do an event, just come over here. And then other people trying to see like, okay, well, yeah, maybe we know somebody that could do an event there, but it's not that simple, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Where you have to sort of figure out the logistics of it, of everybody that's involved in the organization to go out there and then set up. And then not to mention too, is that the the tracks are going to want to make money, and at the same time the organization is going to want to make this profitable for them to be able to make this event happen.
Yeah.
So this sometimes, I'm not saying this is what happened, but what I'm saying is that there's oftentimes a conflict of trying to sort out, just like, okay, well, you get this and you get that, and then figuring out like, okay, well, this is going to work out, this is going to be worth the effort, and maybe it was just one of those things where it didn't matter what happened, because I think they just decided that it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna shut things down.
Yeah, I know a lot of times when we talk to them about the future of Klutch Kickers early in season 3, that there was always that we would like to spread it out amongst other tracks and be more like a traveling series, like Formula Drift or Streetwise Drift back in the day, or many other series back in the day. I don't know if that's what this will lead into. I've heard some people say that's it, it's done, they're not coming back. They're not saying that. Is it a financial? Like I said, I'm just really looking forward to hearing what their future plans are, and I would like to see them get more active and just keep posting stuff, whether it's what the crew is up to. Like, I don't know, it's weird. But then you hear rumors of people, like you said, people got fired. Was it an organizational thing? Is it a financial thing? Is it that they couldn't do what they wanted to, and they're going to use this year to be like that cocoon, right? The caterpillar in a cocoon, and then 2024 be like the butterfly, right? Is that going to happen? Or is it going to be gone forever? There's a lot of unknowns.
The other thing I noticed during their comments is that they were talking about reacquiring a track, either acquiring a track or building a track. And their goal is to have it done in the Pensacola area.
Really? Okay.
Where they're stationed at.
Right, because it'd make it easy.
Right.
Wow.
Which is where Holt was.
And so that's a whole nother thing. So now we can kind of rule out financials, right? Because you were talking about building a track. That's pretty serious. And I'd have to assume it's going to be a purpose-built drift course, but it'd probably be like a motorsports park. They're going to have to incorporate something else, because financially, a track can't just survive only on drifting, right? They'd have to incorporate autocross or dirt course, right? Get some motocross track out there and everything like that. That would be awesome, because then they can do whatever they want. Right? They don't have to rely on what the schedule is, because they make their own schedule.
Right.
I mean, that's everybody's dream, have their own course.
Right. And when you look back at Holt and what they were able to accomplish there, is like, for them it was very I would say financially feasible, because they didn't have to travel far. Right. They had a stake in the track itself. Yes. And it made it very easy for them to invest and recover some of those investments that they put into it. ROI, I think.
Return on investment. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it. And that's why they were able to actually make the series a success for what it was. But who knows what happened during this last season that kind of just made things switch over. Yeah. But it's I think one of those unanswered questions, that whether or not will the answer ever arise, or will it just be something where they may just kind of forget about it, move on, right, and look forward. Because if they go ahead and build up from if they're able to accomplish what they're trying to do, is that if to build a track, then all of this will be irrelevant.
Exactly, because then Klutch Kickers will never die, because they have their own track. Whether it's that high payout series anymore, and it turns into just like a grassroots series, it goes back to like that, that's fine. But they'll have a track, and you have the fun days. They'll have the fun days. It may just turn out to be Klutch Kickers is less of an event and a series and more of a venue, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that would be great, because adding a track to Florida is going the direction we want to go. Unlike the direction it has been going, is you don't see tracks opening, you see track closing. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because as we were talking, I'm thinking about, okay, yes, Klutch Gear is not going to be at Freedom Factory, but Cletus himself is going through some serious, just a serious battle against developers and those that want to build houses right near the track. If you go to his the Freedom Factory's Instagram page, they actually have a map, and all the acres, I forget how many acres it is, but there's just a ton of land out there by the Freedom Factory and Bradenton Motorsports Park. That's what it's called, Bradenton Motorsports Park,
right?
The drag strip.
Yeah.
And basically, from the main road where everybody enters, all the way around, you just see it's all red. They want to rezone that area and build up to 8,000 homes there. Mm-hmm. And Cletus has been having a battle and go to the city council meetings, and I thought his closing statement was great. Now, whether it fell upon deaf ears, I don't know, but his closing statement was, if you wouldn't approve a racetrack being built next to a neighborhood that's been there for, I think he said, over 50 years, then you shouldn't approve a neighborhood being built next to a racetrack that's been there for over 50 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because what's going to happen is they could say whatever they want. You put those houses there, we already know the amount of people that are moving from New York and California and who God knows where else are not people that are into racetracks or racing, most likely, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to move next to a racetrack as soon as they start having races. I can't sleep. And they're going to force it to be shut down.
Right.
And unfortunately, money talks. And the city cares more about money than providing a place for these people to do something they love, right? And that's what's going to happen. We've seen it happen with County Line. When they closed County Line Dragway, the street racing scene, it got worse for the police officers and everything. So definitely got to support Cletus. Those of you guys that are around there, try to support him as much as you can. And I really hope he can win that. I don't know what the decision was, but
yeah. So I actually got the opportunity to check out the live stream, which, funny enough, it was 15,000 people tuned in for this government live stream, which usually they don't even average
like 30.
Yeah, exactly, 30 or something.
More than us, but 30.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Sorry,
yeah.
what's up with
it
that?
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever. Maybe they got better graphics or something.
Yeah, I know. We'll see.
But in any case, yeah, at least 15,000 people showed up. There was I think I heard there was definitely hundreds of people that were actually physically there at the government center just to, show their support. And many people came out from throughout, different parts of the country.
Really?
Like people flew in from Virginia and all those different places just to go up and say hey, I oppose this measure.
Yeah, because it's not just so Cletus doesn't own Bradenton Motorsport. He don't own the drag strip.
No, exactly.
So he's fighting, and they're going to be fighting for it too.
Right, but they have a great relationship. The guy's name is, I know his first name is Vic.
Okay.
That owns Bradenton Motorsports Park. But he's, gearhead, drag racer, and they're both on the same page in regards to what they want to see, and that is that they don't want to see this measure. They didn't want to see this measure pass.
Right.
Because they knew that based on what has happened in other parts of the country where you have developers kind of building homes around tracks, and then all of a sudden, perfect example, what happened with Hialeah Speedway.
Yeah.
Hialeah Speedway had, was out in the middle of nowhere
at the time
years ago when it was built. And then little by little, the city just started building around it. And then it just got to the point where, I don't know if it was pressure from the city itself, or the fact that the owner kind of just got tired of,
or he got an offer they couldn't refuse,
or exactly that. And so
they like Home Depot.
They were something. They just sold it, and now it's just this shopping plaza. And then nobody, I mean, I'm sure nobody knows that what the place that they're now shopping at used to be a racetrack.
Right.
But in any case, they know that they run the risk of allowing these developers to build around the track,
Yeah.
and then people go in and cause all these lawsuits
Right.
and all these things taking
Complaining
place,
about the noise ordinance.
and then they run the risk of their track getting shut down, or the set of commissioners that are in government decide like, oh look, we're not going to have this anymore, so we're going to take this out.
There's plenty of land there. It's not like it almost feels like it's targeted. It almost feels like a targeted attack because there's plenty of land there. They don't need to build there. There's plenty of land in that area they could build.
And the so the measure, as you mentioned, is that so the measure was to rezone that area for development purposes,
Right.
For housing,
Right.
or not necessarily housing.
Yeah.
I think that's also a mix of commercial too.
Yeah, that I don't know. I just know right now, I believe it's zoned agricultural.
Right.
So they need to rezone that property in order
Right.
for developers to build on it because you have to rezone it before you can build on it. They rezone it, then all bets are off. Then it's the highest bidder.
So what ended up happening was, as a result of all of that, even though everybody showed the support and all of that, the measure still passed 5-2.
It did.
It did. So now what's going to happen is that it's going to go to the state. The state is going to go and rezone it because more than likely they're not going
Right.
to deny it.
So all that was for nothing.
But what's going to happen is that now the developers have to, they're forced to have a conversation with Cletus and Vic in regards to how they're going to develop the land to accommodate everybody. So it could be a thing where one of the developers mentioned that, we can make it like a racers village, whereby around the track, the area around the track could be homes for drivers, car enthusiasts, for them to like house their vehicles, so that way they could just be within.
And that would
5
be a
minute
great idea if you got a developer that's willing to do that.
Right. So there's that option. But regardless, they need to figure out something together. And now they're forced to do so. It's not like where the developers can just do whatever they want. And at the same time, they actually have to now present a plan, because before they're like, we just want to build. But now when they come back to the city, they need to show their plans exactly. Okay, this is what we want to build.
So it passed, but it passed with those stipulations.
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's better than nothing, but still.
Exactly.
And it went past 5-1, or
5-2.
5-2.
Right.
Well, at least that sucks.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of those 5.
But I have to wonder though, is that okay? We've seen it on one side of the spectrum where it's like it doesn't work,
Right.
where people build and the tracks get shut down.
Right.
But then take a look at the other side of the spectrum where you have Homestead, you have Daytona, big tracks.
Yeah.
And maybe, of course, it's a lot harder because of the audience that they attract. But these are tracks that have housing around it. And there's no way around it for them to... I mean, I don't see a way how they're going to be able to shut down these developers or citizens to be able to shut down Daytona International Speedway or Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yeah.
Because the amount of traffic and the amount of noise that they build is crazy.
Sorry.
Oh boy!
Oops. Oops.
I tried it. I tried.
You may want to bring that louver and blow it down so it's... No, I'm sorry. I broke wind. I tooted. Yeah, that was a bad one. I apologize, Ben. I tried to hold it in. I couldn't hold it any longer. Oh.
Well, this is worse for me now.
Oh. Ooh, man, that's... Oh, good Lord. Hey. Yeah.
Well, we can't edit this out.
Yeah, no, can't edit that out. That was live in action. It was a SPD, silent but deadly. Ben has survived the first wave.
Well, for now.
Now.
Oh, boy.
You feel a little lightheaded? Anyhow.
Or maybe at some point.
I apologize.
But what do you think about those venues?
Well, so you got NASCAR that is tied into Homestead as well, right? They do no NASCAR events, but Daytona is never going to go away because that's the home of NASCAR for the most part. But you got a good point. Those are tracks that have been able to survive with developments and residents around them. Now, they're not built too close. They're still good distance away from the track. And in the way those tracks are made, honestly, a lot of the sound stays in. And I was thinking about that too. Is like one of the things that they could do, they'd have to build some kind of levee or something. Like a natural, like almost make it in a natural bowl where they maybe use landfill and build up like a hill that surrounds it. And you'd be surprised how that sound will reflect and go up. Like with NASCAR or any kind of even like in when you hear like events like at a stadium, when you're inside the stadium, it's loud. But as soon as you walk outside the stadium, you're in the parking lot, it's not that loud. You don't hear as much anymore. So using like that natural acoustic of maybe making like a levee or some kind of natural barrier where that sound is gonna echo out, but then once it hits that natural barrier, it'll go up and you won't hear it as much. So that is one option. I don't know if that's even thought about, but you do notice when you go to these big games and are in stadiums, go out, you could literally not even maybe a couple 100 feet go on the other side of that stadium, and you're like, wow, it's not as loud as it was when I was inside because all that sound shoots up towards the sky. Just a thought.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. It was interesting how you had the developers talking about like, oh, we're just gonna build like I forgot the terms that they use, but basically like a wall, like up to a certain point.
Well, they do that with the highways.
Right, exactly, something like that. But they're like, oh, we're just gonna build a wall and to kind of like defeat try to like deal with the sound. And then you had an actual engineer that was like, yeah, what they're suggesting is not going to work at all.
No, it has to be high enough.
Right.
Like you have to make it considerably higher than whatever the track is. Right. But it'll help. But those walls, you really reflect back in. You really want something that has that. It's like acoustic. You ever been in an auditorium?
Right.
Right. It's geared. The acoustics will echo and just reflect a certain way, so making it kind of like a cone or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it help, but is it going to stop somebody from New York coming in or California and saying, I don't like the noise, I can't sleep at night? And I was just thinking about that because I was at work. I was working a lot this week. We're traveling a lot. And some of the people I work with was like, I couldn't sleep last night because the cars were going down or the ice machine in the hallway was keeping me up.
Oh, what?
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh God, I'm thinking to myself, these are the kind of people that are going to be moving next to a racetrack complaining about it because they can't even sleep on the same floor as an ice machine. Right. Or if they're too close to the elevator, it keeps them up all night. Like the elevators aren't that loud, but so you got people that just don't want to be around the noise. So hopefully if they do the Racers Village, that'd be amazing because at least the people that are living in that area are there with the expectation that they're moving next to a racetrack because they want to be next to a racetrack.
Right. So. Well, one of the other major positives that came about from that meeting is that the commissioner that was on the board mentioned at some point that they need to protect the track.
Really?
So I don't think the laws are written in a way to protect it. So they're going to go ahead and try to make adjustments. So that way, whatever happens is protected. And I think they need to jump on that because, again, they could just go and replace the commissioner and then so forth.
No,
so
they need to make it a historical landmark. If they can make it a historical landmark that has been part of this town for however many years, then it can be protected. That's one. I don't know if they could do that with the racetrack, but it has been there for a long time. Historical landmarks, you can't. Yeah, you zone it historic, like I said. But I don't know how old it has to be for that. But if it's been around for 50 something years, I don't know how long he said it's been around. It's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, it has been.
So maybe that's the way. I don't know. Above my pay grade.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing another person that showed up as the original owner, the person who built.
Really?
The whole facility. Because before it used to be owned by one person, the oval and the drag strip.
Right.
And he popped up and he's like, yeah, this isn't good.
No.
But
all right, well.
In any case, a lot of stuff for them to figure out. Hopefully they'll get together with the developers and sort out that situation so that way everybody's happy because I'd hate for the Freedom Factory go on there, and Barrington Motorsports Park.
Yeah,
because it's a big attraction.
Huge.
Yeah,
huge.
So there's that. So moving forward, I did want to talk about the LZ Invitational that just happened this past weekend.
Okay.
Last weekend.
So what was your role? Because I was unable to make it. I did try to make it, but unfortunately had other obligations, family obligations. I wasn't able to go up there with you. What was your role in the LZ Invitational?
Yeah. So last year we did it. Well, I took part in it.
Yeah, well, you drift sessions took part in there.
Yeah, took part in it. And it was so last year it was a reunion of sorts, whereby the original Klutch Kickers live stream team took part in putting together the production for the LC Invitational 2021. This year, 2022, it was the same thing. Matt Stone from Stone Sharp Images called me up saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna need you again. They want us to do the live stream for the Invitational." So I was like, "Sweet, all right, good." And my role in particular is just to kind of to assist in the production. It's not like where like what we did with the OSW Black Friday,
Right,
where we handled everything. Not only just the production side, but the technical side and the announcing side and all those things. So our role was a little limited, but it was a huge effort because there was a lot more moving pieces.
right.
And it's alleviating in some ways because you don't have so many responsibilities to worry about, so many things to deal with. And if something happens, then you have other people that can kind of just jump in and kind of help sort it out while you're kind of still focused on what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah, it was a simple thing where it was a 2-day event. So that was the thing that was different. So 2021 last year was a 1-day event.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a 1-day event, and it was pretty simple. Crazy. I still remember how crazy it was because just the amount of people that were there, and we were just confined to this one area. Right. And even though that they had barricades and so forth, there was still like a significant amount of people that were just hovering around us. So it was kind of like a little bit claustrophobic. Last year. This time around, the major difference is that they had us on the tower, which good amount of space where we're easily able to actually put all of our equipment to set up, and had have a tent over us, just like last year. So that was a good thing to do. But in regards to the event, and well, I'll go ahead and talk about the positives. Event itself was great.
Was it a bit bigger than last year?
Yeah, it was definitely bigger.
Okay.
One of the major differences that was bigger this time around is that they had more barricades.
Okay.
So before, usually at a regular like OSW event, they would just have bleachers on the right side,
right,
just looking out towards the whole skid pad. But this time around, they actually had bleachers when the drivers are lined up to take off from the left side of the track. There's actually now they put up a set of bleachers on that side of the area.
On the left side as well. Okay, yeah, I
put like I think three bleachers total. So, and then they put some more extra ones towards our side that we're stationed at. So, definitely more bleachers, more for more capacity.
Yeah,
and those bleachers got filled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It was crazy.
It was more packed on Sunday, definitely, than Saturday, you would say?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Because Saturday you did see some empty spots in the bleach area, but Sunday for sure it was definitely just filled to the brim. Like on every, looking left to right, it was just everybody was there.
Yeah, Adam, he knows he's got himself to the point where, and I think he's really realized in the last 2 years that hey. I don't know. I wonder if he is ever getting to the point where he wants to stop doing the YouTube thing, and now he's starting to do these other things, right? To the point where like he can do these events and it's guaranteed money, right? It's like he started doing the giveaways for the car, the car giveaways.
Right.
I'm sorry, I've had this like dry cough like for the last 2 days.
Oh, watch out.
Yeah, I feel fine otherwise. But anyways, I mean, just financially. He's got to the point where he just doesn't do whatever he wants. He's going to make money at it.
Right.
So doing these events is great because it brings people that may not normally go to drifting. We talked about that before. You're going to have your LZ fans are just there to see Adam LZ win. If he doesn't win, they're mad. Then you have your other fans that are here just to go see something different, that maybe they watch Adam LZ and they want to actually see it in real life. And then you have your hardcore drift fans that Adam will bring as well because he knows a lot of them.
Right.
And of course, a lot of the well-known drifters that come out, like Chelsea Denofa and what you had FDF, Josiah Falaise was there.
Nate Hamilton.
You had Nate Hamilton there. Yeah, I didn't really see the roster, but you have all these guys, and it's going to be exciting.
Well, you can't forget or ignore the fact that it's not just about people coming out to see Adam. It's also about just seeing the other YouTubers that were there to take part in it, because they bring in their own influence and their own fans to come out. So it's not only just about supporting Adam and what he does, but it's also taking the opportunity to actually, hey, look, I get to see this person who I follow on YouTube in person, and maybe perhaps get an interaction, a ride along, or some sort of instance, interaction with this individual that they wouldn't necessarily have.
Right.
You could almost think of it as YouTube, or sometimes they'll have these sort of cons or conventions where they'll
like a drift con.
Right. It'll be like a drift con, but in this case, like it's like, well, because let me just give you an example, because they'll sometimes have like these conventions where like they'll just bring in all these YouTubers, and then it'll give an opportunity for people to have like meet and greets with these individuals for at these events.
Right.
In this case, it's not only just an event tailored for just YouTubers, it's also an event tailored, because you actually have regular
fans to come and meet and greet.
Yeah, you have regular drivers too that maybe they have a following, but not to the extent of some of these other individuals that maybe have like a much higher following.
Right, and you have to be invited to it. Right, it's something that LZ has to invite you with.
Right. So
I'm gonna ask you something, and you can answer it and just see what you think, or maybe not.
Oh gosh.
So what do you think? Adam LZ winning his own event.
Oh, we're jumping already there to that.
No, I'm just saying, like, I know I'm not the only one thinking. It was like, okay, no, he didn't win it last year, though. I don't think, right?
Did he didn't compete last year.
So what do you think about that? If and the only reason I'm mentioning this is because there are many, when we ran events, it was kind of like, I didn't compete because I'm running the event. I don't think I really should. Like Jackson's not going to compete in his own event. What do you think? Did anybody say anything about like, hey, this is his event, how can he compete? Do you think there's a conflict of interest there?
Do I think there's a conflict of interest? I would say no, only because you saw it at Klutch Kickers, where you had Nick Castleberry, the son of Michael Castleberry, taking part in the competition.
And we did talk about that before.
Right. And so you have to ask yourself,
right,
like, did you see that as a conflict of interest? Because even though it may seem that way, for me, it didn't really matter.
Okay.
All right. And I think in the end, though, it's one of those things where your driver skill, it will,
shine through.
It will shine through and improve itself.
Right. It shouldn't affect. And the judges should be to the point where they're not going to give Adam the win just because it's his event and he's paying them.
Right. Right. Because that's the thing. Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's another thing that
you have to be mindful and careful and thoughtful about whether or not they're showing any sort of bias, or they're kind of getting something done under the table, or to make it
under the table. Who's under the table?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just saying. You never know.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody's under the table.
Okay. All right. But what I'm trying to get at is that to make sure that none of that is happening. And so I think that the fans themselves, if they witness something that doesn't seem right, they'll call it out.
Was there any of that? So were you able to watch the chat during the event?
I saw some of it, but yeah, I did see some, and I did see some individuals that were like, well, yeah, isn't it ironic that the guy that put up the event wins the event.
I mean, you can see how people. That's understandable, right? I think there absolutely is a conflict of interest just by nature of the event being an Adam LZ event. Adam LZ, everybody being on Adam LZ's payroll. Well, I'm not saying that he got it right. He won because it was his event. I'm just saying it could be perceived that way, and I think that's why he kept him out of the first one. He kept himself out of the first one last year, but entering into the event, it absolutely is by definition a conflict of interest. Now, whether the players and the people that were working and the judges fulfilled that role, like made it that way, that's to be determined. I wasn't there. I didn't pay for the pay-per-view. I didn't watch it. But from what I understand, what I've seen like through posts, like he legitimately won it. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where I feel like he won it through his own merit, like through his own effort and skill to make it happen.
Right.
And not only that, he was even surprised himself because at the end, when he got the call after the celebrations died down and so forth, he went and in the middle of the live stream, he's like, "How did I win?"
Right.
And then Officer Dan Brockett, he explained exactly like, okay, well, this is why he won. Nate Hamilton zeroed out first. And so it didn't matter whether or not what happened afterwards. It was the fact that Nate zeroed out first.
Okay, I didn't see it.
That's why we gave the victory to you.
Okay.
But then at the same time, again, this you have to think about it like this. This isn't I mean, yes, it's a competition,
right,
but it's not really intended to be a competition.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun.
Right.
And I think many people just get lost in the idea that with it being labeled as a competition,
more like an exhibition.
Right. Exactly. Kind of like what we experienced in LS Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Like kind of like what we experienced at LS Fest. A strange sound. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where they mentioned that, yeah, it's a competition, but it's not really meant to be taken seriously as a competition.
Right.
Even though when you tell a driver that it's a competition, they're going to just take it as that and just go,
right.
You know,
very serious.
Just go with it.
It's more like an LS Fest or like a Ford Fest when they have the drift competition. It's a competition, but you said it's more of an exhibition style competition. Now, did they use the instant replay, and was there did they do protests?
No protests.
No protests, but they did do a standard qualifying.
Yes.
And it was a knockout style qualifying.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
I know that there was, honestly, I don't know what they did. I know they did something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was a top 32.
Right. No, it was top 16.
Okay.
Top 16. I think they.
So did he invite only 16 drivers, or did he invite more than 16?
No,
drivers?
it was more than 16.
Oh, okay.
It was more than 16. Yeah, but the competition was great.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good, and there was a lot of interesting battles. There was one. I don't want to spoil some of it because obviously we want people to check out the stream itself. Mm-hmm. Considering all the things that occurred, but there was one with Jeff Stoneback.
Okay.
And what he did, where he rearranged the whole track.
Oh
yeah. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but definitely that was one of the highlights.
That was a highlight.
That was
he rearranged the track in a good way. Then I'm assuming
he rearranged all of Outer Zone 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he took it with him.
Wow.
I'll just say that.
Interesting.
But yeah. But going back to the whole organization and with the whole live stream thing, the only thing I want to say that I will say is that what is going on out there?
It sounds like fireworks, doesn't it?
Oh, something. I don't know. I thought it was your brother at first.
It felt like somebody tapped on the door, but
whatever. Maybe Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I wanted to highlight and mention is that Saturday was a nightmare.
Oh, okay. So
Saturday was an absolute nightmare. And I'm not going to go into all of the details, but what I will say is that, okay, Tim, you have a generator.
Yeah.
A gas-powered generator.
I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that.
Yeah, no, I mean, because it needs to be said because that caused that some of these issues got displayed onto the live stream itself.
Okay.
Right. but you have a generator.
Yep.
And you graciously lent it
Right.
to me to be able to use it for this
Well,
past
it's
weekend.
for us. It's for Dritza. Yeah.
Right. And I actually have like a generator, but it's not in the traditional sense. It's sort of one of those things where like it's a big battery and you
backup,
could just,
yeah.
it's a backup thing. So one of the good things about it is that you could hook up your gas powered generator onto this battery backup generator.
Right.
And then you could just sort of like pass through the power.
Okay.
And then if, let's say, for instance, the power goes out onto the generator,
Right.
then it'll just the battery will take over
Right.
and then power the devices.
Okay.
Well, this weekend on Saturday, I got to experience that because in the whole scramble of everything that was taking place, and mind you, we were just trying to just get things going, and we had the whole system set up and everything, but then for whatever reason, people just don't have, I don't know if it's they don't have a clue or they don't have any sort of consideration, but it was just a constant issue with the power. And it was just either there was one point where somebody just unplugged the wire, or the power cord that was going over to the power.
Yeah.
There was another point where, well, it wasn't. Well, this wasn't nobody else's fault, but the generator was kind of like, I think I think somebody switched it over to the choke, the knob.
Yeah.
And so that was just causing the generator to rev up.
Why are they even touching
And
it?
then they
That's the
caused
thing,
it
it's
to
like, why are they even
rev up.
touching it? Yeah.
And then with it revving up, that was distorting the power that was sending over to the
Right.
battery back
Right.
up. And then it was just tripping everything. And then I'm just like, what's going on? And then I think, and then the worst thing to happen was that the generator went missing.
Somebody came, they unplugged it and said, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and use this."
Right.
Like it's sitting, it's running, it's hooked up. Unplug it and think that this is a good idea. This makes sense to me. I'm going to unplug this generator that is obviously plugged in, obviously powering something that is running, and I'm going to use it.
Right.
And they walked away with my generator. I mean, it's just like that blows my mind that
Right.
that somebody can even that crosses their mind like, oh, okay, I'll take this.
Right.
And you have no idea who took it.
See, and that's the thing. I asked around. I was like, "Do you get to see who took the generator?" No. Did you get to see who took the generator? No. So nobody knew. And then all of a sudden, the generator reappeared magically.
That means somebody that was involved in the crew probably took it to use it for something else.
Oh, maybe. I never got a straight answer in regards to it, but somebody took it. And then the other thing that happened actually is that somebody went and plugged their outlet, their extension cord onto the generator. And then by them doing that, now I don't know exactly how your generator works, but somehow by them plugging their cord into your generator, it cut our power, and then it was just feeding them. And then we couldn't figure out exactly what was going on. We didn't know if it was cable or our battery backup.
Right.
And we were just troubleshooting. And then turns out that the cable itself wasn't getting powered because we realized that because what
was only
I just
powering
mentioned
one.
is that it was just only powering one outlet. So then I was just like, this is just a nightmare.
Yeah,
This is just absolutely crazy.
Actually,
And
it's probably a better thing that I went there because I probably won't raise hell, and people don't. When I raise hell, people don't like me, and then I get a bad name for myself.
yeah.
But whatever. That just doesn't make any sense. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah,
then-
because you called me. I very rarely hear you or see you upset, and I will have to say that is probably the most upset I've ever heard you.
I was livid.
You were. You absolutely were. To the point where it sounded like you were about ready to just pack up and go. Because from the beginning you said this has been a nightmare all day on Saturday.
Yeah, it was really bad. And to kind of hammer home the what happened is that the stream ended with us on battery power. So I forgot exactly because again, there was just so much that happened is that I don't know if it was because your generator ran out of gas or somebody had switched it off or something. I don't know what. But in the end, we're just like, okay, how much time do we have left? Maybe less than 2 hours. we have at least 2 hours of battery to be able to run this.
Right.
We're just going to run off the battery.
So you ran for almost an hour on just battery?
Yeah.
Did it run out of gas?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I was on the second floor. I was elevated, and your generator was on the floor. So, and
did you have to put gas in it the next day?
Oh, yeah.
So you had to put gas in it the next day?
Well, but that's the thing. I never got down to check the gas level at all. So I was at the top throughout the whole time, just focused on the live stream itself. And every once in a while, I'd be like, "Hey, check to make sure that there was gas." Well, at least day 2, I was definitely doing that. But I don't know what, like, what was the gas level throughout the whole time. I was just like either screaming out power, power, power,
right?
Because all of a sudden it would just start tripping out. And I would just be like, okay, everybody just pause for a second. Let's sort this out.
Right.
And it wasn't. And again, because we're on the second floor, it's not like we could just easily run over and see exactly, okay, what's the problem?
Yeah, you had to go down. You're basically on top of a rig.
Yeah.
Somebody's rig. And that's what you're on top. Did the generator run all day Sunday? No problem?
Well, that's the strange thing, is that we were running off of it. But then they're like, no, we're just going to run off of this other generator. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. We just ran off of the separate generator. I don't know why we couldn't run off your generator, but it was just one of those things where I didn't care.
Right, at that point,
I just wanted to just make sure that we got this going, because it was just... That was it. I'm tired.
Right.
I was tired.
Right.
I don't want to deal with any more of the power
done,
situation. It's like, come on, relax.
That's ridiculous.
It's just we specifically get a certain set of things for a certain purpose, and the fact is that these things were getting abused or mistreated,
right,
for other purposes, and
amongst all the other crap that you had to deal with, because you said logistically it wasn't too great either. Like, you brought like way more stuff than you needed to. You ended up bringing tables and chairs and all this other stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't yes and no. I mean, they had tables, so it's like, okay, but we had it extra, so it's always like, I'm not too bothered about that, because it's always good to have backups.
Yeah, it's
always good to be like, okay, well, like, I brought extra camera gear,
right,
cables and so forth, because again, it's those instances where you don't know what kind of situation you're going to be in where you're actually going to need it.
Right. So it's better to have it and not use it than need it and not have it, kind of like a gun.
Let's not dive in there. What the heck? Relax.
Yeah, just like a gun.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
But other than that, though, like, it was great to catch up with everybody. Uprooted Pictures, Matt Stone.
Yeah.
He had a great runner, Ray, who we met there, and then all the other camera people there that were involved with the production.
Who did the drone?
Uprooted Pictures.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, good.
Uprooted Pictures is the drone. And I think that one of the things that Dave Egan from Drift Games, he was trying to, and I recall him saying this over on the drivers meeting, is that he really emphasized the idea of like, hey guys, this is a show. So put on a good show for the crowd.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you may want to be caught up with the competition and want to be able to kind of like get, these engines, because that was a prize. There was,
really?
Yeah. First place gets a 2J. Second place is a SR20, and third place gets an RB.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I'd want to place either first or third. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyhow, well, those are cool prizes.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rolled them out right over to
and they probably look good too. Probably all nice, done up, all fancy.
Definitely, yeah, they got all the good stuff. But yeah, it was great to catch up with them and kind of work with them. And the great thing about it was that even though there was a year apart from the last time I worked with Matt, Chris Way also he did the graphics.
Right.
Even though we were 1 year apart, it was as if like there was no time difference.
Okay, well, good.
We just picked up where we left off.
Right.
We all know what our strengths and weaknesses are.
Right, gotcha.
And we're able to actually just help out one another.
Weakness.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I'm not going to delve
You heard it
into
here
that.
first.
Yeah.
Ben has a weakness.
Yeah. But overall, I think that the event was great. It was a success. A lot of people that came out. I think they got their money's worth. I did like the way how a lot of things were just organized, how they sectioned off certain things.
Okay.
And like you mentioned when we sent you some video clips of it, it did not look like OSW.
No,
At all.
well, the way they changed the track, it looked like a whole nother track. The way they had all the barriers and everything, yeah, it didn't look like OSW whatsoever in the videos that you sent.
Right. And just the amount of effort and time for them to actually be able to make that happen, especially a track like OSW that we're already accustomed to seeing a certain way, and for them to make it look the way that it did.
Right.
I mean, hats off to them and Adam Z's crew and James Harvey, who really had a hand on it, kind of like just making everything happen.
James
James is like his business partner.
Oh, okay.
And also is like his go-to guy to kind of like get a lot of these things done.
Oh, okay.
And he was also one of our, our go-to guys. Like if we needed something in particular, regarding the venue, then we go to him and he would just quickly get it done.
And who are the judges?
Yeah, judges, Officer Dan, who also co-announced.
Okay.
Tommy Roche,
Okay.
our boy Tommy.
Yep.
And Pat Gooden, passionate Pat Gooden, Patrick Gooden.
Step back in the judge's seat, huh?
Yeah, he's back in the judge's seat. He was there last year too as a judge, and he was back at it again this year as a judge.
Right.
And it was good to see him. It was good to see all of them together. It was actually funny, weird to see Tommy there too, because I wasn't expecting him to be there.
Oh, okay.
That's that. So the fact that I saw his name, I was like, "Hey, Tommy!
Hey, Tommy!
Hey, boy!"
Okay.
It was fun. Who else was there?
Oh, yeah, Dave Egan was the co-announcing with Dan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else there was somebody else from Drift Games there, wasn't there, or no?
There was two other individuals from their crew.
Okay.
I forget how to properly pronounce his name. It was Kian or Cian. I forget one of those two. He was the showrunner, and he was the one that was like on top of everything.
Okay.
It was like, okay, well, the drivers have to be lined up a certain time. They have to go at a certain time. He was actually going. He was like the liaison between the live stream crew, the drivers, the start line, Nick Swan, and everybody to make sure that everybody was on the same page as to what they had to do. So there's that, and I think they had their video guy, which I didn't get to meet, but I saw him around, so he was part of the
doing
crew.
their social media and all
right,
that.
Right.
Good deal.
There was that. But yeah, if you have the time, make sure to just check out the live stream on Adam LZ's channel. And what
you have to subscribe to his channel. Is that what it is, or
the qualifying is
free.
Public?
Okay.
Yeah, but anybody could just check that out. And then the competition portion of it that happened on Saturday and Sunday, you have to be a member on his channel in order
it's like
to check
a subscription kind of thing. Like it's not just you subscribe to it; you actually have to. It's a fee.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's that.
Making money.
Or you could just go ahead and check out some of the other individuals that attended the event.
Right.
Check out their footage and see exactly what they did. I mean, I got to check out Chelsea Denofa's overview of the event.
Yeah. How did he do?
One of the things he talked about, well, he actually had an issue. Well, spoiler alert, he actually had an issue with this car.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where, if I recall correctly, he would just be on throttle, and then when he would let off,
right,
it would just like cut out. Like the car would just die, and then it would just take a quick moment again to just be able to get back up. So he kept trying to get in contact with his tuner to sort it out, but they weren't able to.
It was like a throttle position sensor kind of thing.
Something, I don't know, or maybe the ECU was misinterpreting the signals.
Huh.
I don't know what.
Right.
There was but he did mention he took issue with the tires that some of the drivers were running. But that sort of kind of got negated because even though like during qualifying and practice that everybody could just drive whatever they want, whatever set that they brought with.
Right.
During the competition, everybody was on the same tire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they sure about that? I mean, assume so. Right. That's what we were told. That's what you were told. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what he
I wasn't there.
say. I mean,
I can only ask.
You can only ask. Okay. Well, yeah.
All right. Well, that's stout. I mean, it ended on a high note, from what I understand from you. Not something we could talk about, but
yeah,
some exciting news for drift sessions, at least in the upcoming year, that hopefully we'll be able to announce early into next year, but you were very excited. So you went from
Oh yeah.
the most upset I've ever seen you to almost the most excited I've ever heard you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's up and down. You had like a roller coaster of a weekend.
Yeah. I was just about to mention that is like a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
Just the highs, well, the lowest of the lows and the highest of the highs.
Yeah.
And you just gotta just figure out like, okay, where you gotta land at, and how do you make of it? What do you make do? And
so how did it
look,
end?
it's with all of these events, you sort of try to pick up something from every moment.
Yes.
Whether the good or bad, you try to just take these moments of whether it's the lows is like, okay, what can you learn from it? What can you improve upon? What can you do better? And I think one of the things that really stood out to me, and I think it ties into a couple of other things that some of it we've already discussed, and some of it we're going to discuss, is that is the show aspect of it. And how Dave was talking about in the drivers meeting is like, hey, look, like just this is a show. We gotta, put up a good show for the fans and the viewers that are watching. And one of the ways that they did that, and it ties it and it takes me back to what they're doing with the Drift Masters series, is that it's fast paced, it's constant. It's and every sign and I noticed is that they just ran it really quick. Like especially top 16 on Sunday, I was surprised at how quick it went. But that's also because of the efficiency of how they were running, and it was very reminiscent to how they run over at Drift Masters. Because again, you have Drift Masters is no 5-minute timeouts or nothing. They're just running at a fast pace because they want to keep the action going.
Well, Klutch Kickers is a lot like that. For the most part, I think Klutch Kickers is like that. I know for sure. King of OSW was
right,
so it was like a King of OSW kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say it's like a King of OSW.
That
just
was
the
like
way how they were
breathe.
just like, pew, pew, just shooting them out of the gate. But again, it kept you interested. It kept you going, and it became very evident when you had these lull moments where either there was a spill on the track, or somebody just rearranged the whole track, and then they had to actually take time to really fix it all.
Well, they had to stop the event.
They had to stop it, but those moments made you realize, like, hey, look, like there's just this like fast-paced, constant action taking place that's keeping you hooked into it throughout the whole time, and it's really. It's really going into the whole show aspect of it,
right?
And I think that's where, when you take that into consideration, one of the main reasons why Drift Masters excels at what they do, because of all of the all of this constant action, and one of the things, and it also highlights one of your biggest pet peeves in regards to Formula Drift is all of the downtime,
which I always complained about.
Right. Wow. And that's something that it's sort of something that hopefully we can just take notice and pick up on, to be able to do for future events,
right? To
be able to be like, hey, look, like we need to just be really dialed in, efficient, and just be going constantly, just bang bang bang.
Because I mean, honestly, if you think about it, if you look at most sports, for the most part, outside of racing, right? Because racing usually has longer events, but you got people's attention for 2-3 hours, right? Nobody wants to sit for a football game for 8 hours. That'd be crazy, right?
Or a baseball game,
for 8 hours, right? So drifting being 8 hours long with downtime in between, like it's one thing is if it was constant action for 8 hours, right? But if you were taking 15-minute breaks every now and then, people would leave the stands. So I do agree with that. And we talked about that with Nate Hamilton and several other drivers in the past. What is the future of drifting? And it does have to be this action-packed sport. And for us, it's like, what is an action-packed sport? But no, that downtime takes away that action.
Right.
So finding, getting rid of the 5-minute timeouts, get rid of the protests, and you just go. And if you can't handle it, then you're out.
Yeah, and that was one of those things that we witnessed at OSW Black Friday, where it was no timeouts,
Yeah.
no protests. They just kept going. The only time that there was actually any sort of downtime or any sort of slowdown was when the judges needed to review footage,
Right.
and they were like, okay, well, what happened here in this corner that we didn't really get to see?
Yeah.
And it was one of those quick things. We're like, okay, yeah, we just wanted confirmation,
Confirm, right.
or it's like, okay, we just need to see something. But they got their answer quickly, and they were able to move on and just get the show going pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But then it does make you wonder too about Falken Tire, and that was another major news item that I kind of forgot about.
Right.
Is that they announced that they're pulling out of the Formula Drift sponsorship. So they're not going to be a part of Formula Drift, and I think they were there from the beginning. But now, that's another that's another news item that sent shockwaves to the world and the drift community. But then you have to wonder: is that okay? What is it? Is it the recession that everybody keeps talking about that may be causing them to really reconsider their financial position, or is it something that maybe they've realized that maybe they don't need to put so much money into this one competitive sport, or maybe they're just realizing that it's because you're starting to see like Adam LZ's event,
Yeah.
where it's not a major competition. It's
But
really
it gets
just like an
the traction,
exhibition.
right? But it gets the audience. It brings the audience that is a more diverse audience. It's reaching a broader spectrum of audience. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a wider reach. So then they're maybe realizing it's like, okay, well, maybe if we invest or divert our resources to these other venues or these other shows,
Right.
perhaps we could get more for our money.
Huh.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
But you're starting to really see how, okay, after what I experienced at the LZ Invitational and seeing the amount of people that came out,
Right.
and mind you, the turnout, you could possibly argue exceeded what Formula Drift brings out at their
To
Orlando
OSW.
event.
Really?
To OSW.
Really?
Possibly.
Pretty
Possibly.
close.
There was a huge amount of people there.
Right.
But then you also take into account what we experienced at LS Fest. The amount of people that came out,
Yes.
and they have nowhere near the same kind of, well, they're not, LS Fest isn't reaching the same demographic, the same market as Formula Drift is. It's much more diverse, I would argue.
Yes.
But then you take a look at the amount of people that you brought in, you may be starting to wonder, it's like, well, if a company like Falken Tire is taking notice of it,
Right.
they might be thinking like, okay, well, maybe we don't necessarily need to just focus on Formula Drift, because maybe they're starting to see like these other exhibitions or demos or events that are attracting similar audience, or
More.
if not more.
I mean, how many was there? Like 60? Would they say 80,000?
Over 60,000.
Over 60,000 people at LS Fest.
LS Fest, yeah.
I don't think Formula Drift's ever touched that.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe at Road Atlanta because it's a huge menu. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you. Maybe that is. Maybe that's. I mean, that's unfortunate for Formula Drift because they're going to have to find somebody else to fill that spot. But I don't know. We'll see. You know, what is the future of drifting? And maybe just these exhibitions that bring the spectators in, much like
Takeovers?
what? What were you gonna say?
Takeovers. I said
No,
takeovers.
not takeovers, like monster trucks.
Oh yeah, monster trucks. Yeah. I got you now.
Yeah, much like the monster trucks. That's what happened to monster trucks. Turned into this exciting show that had just a ton of people wanting to come and see big trucks. And this may turn into a thing where people just want to come and see cars do this crazy drifting door to door and crashing, right? That's why they go. A lot of people go watch NASCAR because of that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. You even have, like, for instance, Taxi Garage. They came out. They were there. And they're getting an audience. And it's... and everywhere they go, they're really sort of, very popular with the people. And they're getting these newcomers that had no idea what they were about and what they had to offer. And then once they realize, it's like, oh, they're hooked.
Yeah.
And then it could be an even bigger thing. We could be witnessing the birth of something even greater.
Right.
But obviously, that takes time. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But you don't really know until you actually just go out to some of these events and realize, like, hey, there's a ton of people here.
Right.
There's a lot of companies that are just taking advantage of this, and who knows what other companies they're starting to sort of realize, like, hey, maybe we should just do something else. But again, maybe that's the whole recession thing.
It could be. It could be. I mean, I was on Facebook Marketplace today, and people are asking insane amounts of money for these cars out there. It's just unbelievable.
Oh,
it's like trying to find anything decent under 10 grand anymore is like almost impossible.
yeah.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Yeah, it is.
It's very annoying. Let's go ahead, because we've been talking about like all these several events we're talking about, but one of the things I wanted to go back to is just reflect on just some of the major events that we've done this past year.
Okay.
Since it's the last year, as final episode of the year, and
Yeah.
a good opportunity for us to kind of recap what took place. But I was Invitational. That was
Yep.
great. The one before that was OSW Black Friday.
Yep. King of OSW.
King of OSW, that's right.
Yep.
That was again one of those events where we kind of didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We had an idea based on what had been told to us,
Yeah.
and just the level of driving that we witnessed there was just really drew us. I mean, for me, it drew me by surprise.
Yeah. I would have to say that King of OSW was the most fun event for me this year because I got to just be myself on the mic.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have to worry about a lot of stuff. So I got to be
I can see that.
my goofy self and do the stupid
Right.
things that I do and say the stupid stuff that I say and just kind of let loose and relax. That was fun.
Right. For me, it was like, even though it was a lot of work to just go there, set up, and there was a
back
lot
the
to
same
set
night.
up. Yeah, come back the same night. Yeah, that was wild. But even though it was a lot of work, it was fun.
Yes.
Like, there was just something about it that just made it fun. And I think what also helped too is just witnessing you and how much fun you were having with it, along with Steve-O.
Right.
Both of you guys, your banter and just the way how you're like let loose is like, okay, well, there's no restrictions. You don't have to be careful what you say or what to do. And even though maybe some people were annoyed by it, but
I don't know if they were. I didn't hear about it. So
well, I'll tell you this much: like, I was watching the chat, and some people,
Yeah.
perhaps took an issue with a thing or two. But I made sure to filter that out.
oh, okay.
All right, I made sure not to say like, "Hey, Tim, turn down." But and that's the thing. Like, I just let you be, and I realized that it was a moment where you really just. You let loose. You wanted to do the way you wanted to announce the way that you wanted to announce. So
Right.
why take that away from you?
Right. Well, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like something. And we learned early on in the Klutch Kickers episode, and Klutch Kickers, we couldn't have been any more, I don't want to say politically correct, but have tried to be more professional, right?
Yeah.
Trying to make sure we had something positive to say about every driver. Not trying that's true, right? Because sometimes you'll see people watching announcers and they're like, oh, this guy really and I think that happened to us at first when we first started the first half of season 1, that I would see in the comments that, oh, they must really like, because we had our favorites. We didn't know everybody yet.
All right.
But come season 2, we were able to develop those relationships and know the drivers to where we were able to try to highlight them as much as we could with as much knowledge we knew about them, and try to support them. And I think we did that. But not that we don't have a great, like, we have enjoyed watching every driver compete. You just, with Tommy just saying, hey, listen, you guys do it, and just say, listen, I trust you guys, do what you're going to do and have fun with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that was a major point that we kind of glossed over, is that Tommy Roche from OSW Drift basically was hands off. He didn't give us any notes. He didn't tell us like, hey, I need you to do this or be a certain way or anything. He, like you mentioned, entrusted us to just handle the live
And he
stream
didn't
and all the
over critique us at the end either.
yeah, and to kind of just let us just be who we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that as small as it was of a production it was, I just think that it turned out great, much better than what I expected it to be, because we didn't know what to expect.
Well, and that's another thing. It was hard for me to announce because I didn't know a lot of the drivers were new for me.
Right.
To learn.
You have to rely on Steve.
I had to really rely on Steve-O because Steve-O had all the information of the cars and the drivers. And then he also knew a lot of the drivers in the cars because he's up in that area more often. And it was going so fast that there were some times where I'm like, okay, here comes two drivers. And I don't know who they are because I don't know the cars. And here they go. Because you couldn't prepare in advance because the way they did qualifying also. So it's not like I had that time to learn the cars during qualifying, right? Most qualifying is that whether it's knockout style or anything, you get to announce the drivers go through. You get to start figuring out who the drivers are driving certain vehicles. This was like, we're going to draw numbers in a hat or in a bag, and they're going to go together, or the first 30-something people that find Tommy. So you don't even know who's going to compete. So that was a struggle, but hey, I got to be myself, like it or hate it, and I had a good time.
Yeah. I think the other funny thing is that, and again, it kind of takes you back, it takes you out of it.
Yeah.
Is that just watching people just on their phones, and you're kind of wondering, like, why are they on their phones? And it's like, oh, they're actually tuning in. They're actually watching it. Some of the actual drivers are actually watching the stream on the line. Because some of them actually even put up on the chat is like, hey, I'm on the line.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like, and they're actually helping on too, because there was like some downtime took place, and the drivers were chiming in saying like, hey, look, this is happening.
Right.
But yeah, it was just so much fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was great.
So by far, that was definitely the most fun I've had at an event this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Actually, you got a couple of comments. Sean Roxby, Mr. Sean.
Hey, Sean, he's a good kid.
That's funny.
My wife always says, he's a good kid.
He's a good kid. Killer Pup Pick. I don't understand that.
Killer Pup?
Yeah, PUP. Okay, whatever. Drewski Drift wrote, I was driving the Red C6 at that King of OSW competition. Glad you all were out there. Made the event way more fun. Keep doing what y'all doing.
Oh,
thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do want to highlight that individual, Drewski Drift.
Yes.
Filling in those outer zones.
Yeah, that was exciting. That was fun. That was a lot of fun to watch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And taking a hit.
Yes.
From Chris Rios.
Yeah, right.
Taking a hit and did not flop whatsoever.
Yeah.
So kudos to you, my friend.
You're not a flounder. You're not a flounder.
Yeah, look at that flounder. Yeah, absolutely wild. Great time. So as far as we know, we're locked in for the other King of OSW competitions. So I can't wait. Spring Break Bash coming in March.
So we're locked in for both King of OSWs.
I mean, as far as I know,
this actually may end up being, if those other events pan out that we may be getting, this actually may be a busier year for us than the past few years.
Only
without Klutch Kickers,
simply because of all of the different destinations we may possibly be going to, because Klutch Kickers was just this one destination and one weekend for us to worry about, whereby if things turn out the way that it may be looking, we may be going to a bunch of other different places. But we'll see. The point is, like, again, like, even though King of OSW is this one place and it happens twice a year, I'm already looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's weekend up in there. That's not too big a deal.
Yeah. But hang on, we got more comments saying Sean, LOL disregard. Okay, might be a typo. Sean, and then he wrote, your wife is the nicest person ever.
Thank you. I'll let her know. I'll let her know you said that.
Yeah. And Drewski Drift wrote, thank you guys. LOL. Chris and I drive a lot together, so I wouldn't have heard the end of a flop. Okay.
Yeah. So you had no choice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah. So kudos to Chris Rios for winning that event. He's been retitled, given the title again as King of OSW.
Yep.
Until somebody comes back around and knocks the title
Yes.
off of his head. Who knows?
We shall see. I mean, it's going to happen. Right?
Yep.
Well, it may not.
Oh,
You may
who
not.
knows? Exactly. Maybe Tim decides to go on a tirade and be like, "Arr, I'm gonna take over."
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Another major event that took place this year was LS Fest.
LS Fest. That was another very fun event. It was probably the most impactful event for me this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if OSW Black Friday Drift was the most fun, I would say that LS Fest was the most impactful event because of one, I'd never been to LS Fest before, in LS Fest or Ford Fest or anything like that before. I'd never been to Kentucky before, and we've never been flown out to go announce for something before. So it was very impactful. It was cool. It was really cool to go out there and meet again. I think one of my favorite, I don't know, I'm not going to say I think, I know one of my favorite things about going to drift events is meeting new drivers and becoming familiar with them more than just watching their video on YouTube or watching them compete on a live stream. Is getting to just shake hands, whether it's a 10-15 minute conversation, and just see the blood, sweat, and tears or things, or hear some of the stories that they've had to go through to get to where they're at, is like Cole Richards. Cole Richards, right? Like some of the stuff that he went through and how he changed platforms to some people that helped him get where he was with his vehicle, and actually getting, I think for the first time, getting to really talk to and I can never Mofongo Drift. I always forget
Ryan Silva.
I always remember Mofongo. Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
So getting to talk to him and talk to him about his car. So those are like those are the moments I really I live for when we're doing this whole announcing thing.
Yeah.
Yes, would I rather be driving? Absolutely, I'd rather be driving. But that's just not where I am at right now. So I'm just excited to go out there and meet new guys and just hearing about how they got to where they are and what are their plans and how serious are they going to take their drifting career.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on the impactful part of it.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, it's just the fact that for me at the time, it was a bit surreal just getting that call and just saying like, hey, would you guys be willing to?
Yeah.
Mind you, like I thought it was fake. Like I thought it was spam. I was
Right.
almost ignored it
Right.
and just put it to the junk folder. And then I was just like, wait a minute, hold on, stop yourself.
Right.
Like this isn't a regular title that you would actually get. Usually it's one of those things where like, oh, you've been a victim of a fraud or something.
And it was
like
who contacted us as
Right,
well.
Exactly. And it was surreal at first to actually just go and just get that and then just be like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this. I guess it's happening.
Right.
And just being there and again, it was a moment where we didn't I just didn't understand the scale of it.
No, absolutely not.
And you sort of get like we spoke to Pat Gooden, who kind of told us like, okay, well, this is what you kind of like what you're gonna expect. You should be there early
Right.
on both days because the traffic gets really bad. So I was like, okay, all right, that's something to know about. And then what really helped us out at the beginning, because we get there and mind you, it was just before even getting to the venue.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Right.
Just the scenery and the backdrop. It was just great countryside backdrop.
Absolutely.
But once you're there, luckily though, we had the fortunate chance to bump into James Webb,
Yes, that's right.
who we worked with at the Klutch Kickers series, season 1 and 2. And as we're there, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you guys around."
Yeah, so he gave us a
because
tour.
if he hadn't done that, we would have been completely lost. We probably would have ended up on like the off-road course.
Which I never got to get over to.
we never
but
got
yeah.
to. We never got to go on the Holly Trolley.
Did not get
To
on the
go
Holly
over to
trolley.
this, so we got to make sure we make that happen.
Yep, absolutely
But,
next time.
Yeah, and then once he kind of gave us like a groundwork of like, okay, well, this is where the drift pits is, and this is where everybody's got to go, and this is where the track is, and so forth. We're like, okay, cool. And then we started to go out and explore, and just the sheer size of the venue was really, really just was a whole lot to take in.
Yeah, a lot of action. And it's so I am not a V8 fan. I'm not an LS fan. I'm the turbo fan, inline six fan.
Yeah,
1J. I like RBs, whatever. But I can appreciate the venue and the event, what they did, and how it was so diverse, and you had people from all different spectrums of the motorsport, of all motorsports, NASCAR, whatever it was, circle track, off road, motorcycles with freaking LS engines, it was just crazy to see how it was able to unite all these people from different race disciplines, I guess you could say, or car show, right? And two, just to see the amount of people that they brought in, over 60,000 people in that weekend. That's insane. So it's good. It's a great, we need more events like that. If you haven't been, definitely suggest it. But yes, I would say LS Fest would get my vote for the most impactful event this year for me.
Yeah. And the other crazy thing about it is that it's not only the venue that is celebrating this one engine.
Right.
And I just want to add that I still remember one of the first things I told him when we were there. I was like, oh, thank goodness I won't have to suffer with any VQ engines.
Yeah, no VQ sounds that weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Those damn trumpets. But
yes,
it really becomes a celebration of this one engine.
Yeah.
Not only at the venue, but throughout the whole city.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's not only just all these events that are taking place on this weekend at the track, but it's also throughout the whole surrounding parts of the city.
Yeah.
After the event's over, like there was people, like gas stations just filled to the brim, like just packed, literally with just all of these individuals just happy to just be there and hang out.
Yeah, you're either hearing LS sounds or drunk college students. It was one of the two. That was interesting. Yeah, I felt like I was in a movie walking, just seeing all the frat houses and everything, because it's not like that down here in South Florida. You don't go into a frat house neighborhood where it's all frat houses and everything. So I was like, what? I'm in like a episode of, like, I don't know. There was a lot of
Freaks and Geeks,
The
Breakfast Club.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds. Okay, there you go.
That's what I think
probably
of. Revenge of the Nerds. Anyhow, so let's move on. So what's the next event?
Next one I would say is, well, actually, just in closing of that, if you have the opportunity to go to LS Fest, I would highly implore you guys do so. It's in Kentucky, and I think sometime in December. I think it's the first weekend of September. I do know that. So be sure to check it out. Actually, Holly just released the dates for all of the LS Fest events that are taking place. Vegas, Texas, and of course, like we mentioned, the one in Kentucky.
There you go.
Kentucky, that's one of the important ones. So be sure to check that out. The other event that we did.
We did Klutch Kickers,
right?
The series. Unfortunately, we kind of talked about that already.
Yeah.
So that, but other than Klutch Kickers,
the other one was U.S. Drift Circuit.
Okay,
we started round one.
Round one. Round one.
Yeah.
Only round one at OSW.
Right.
OSW,
which for us turned out to be, when you take into account like all of the other events that happen in the series,
right?
We sort of got lucky. I would say that.
I would absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, in regards to the production side of it, because we were entrusted to do the live stream for round one and only round one.
Only round one.
Just want to clarify that. Yeah. Because what happened in the other rounds was a lot of it was not to their fault.
No.
Based on the weather conditions that they were just hit by in all of the rounds. Heck, they even had to like postpone one event.
Yeah. Because
of just how bad the weather conditions were. But in any case, just going back to round one, it was I would say it was interesting. It was kind of promising how like the turnout, what it was, and the layout. I think what didn't work out, which I think they were hoping to work out, was a qualifying format,
right?
Whereby it's a practice session / qualifying, where if you want to qualify, you want your run to be judged, all you got to do is just before you go, before when you line up,
Right.
just tell the person running the line like, hey, look, I want to be judged.
Yeah, you're basically during practice, you have a lot of time of practice, and during that practice session, you have to complete both of your qualifying runs, or at least one qualifying run, right? So it was different. It was a different way of qualifying. I don't know if they did that the rest of the rounds. I don't remember.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I don't really think it was all that bad. From a live stream aspect, trying to capture that made it difficult, right? Because you can't just have the drivers and you know what order they're going to go. So as live stream, as production wise, okay, these drivers are going in this order, so we can just go ahead and the announcers are prepared. This is more like, oh, this person's going to go, so you have to scramble. It makes it a little harder on the production side to do. But as far as a driver, you could go out and get a couple of practice runs, and you say, I think I'm ready. And then you could do it and realize it's low. You get, or you have something wrong with the car, so you get a chance to test the car out again and then do your second round of practice. So I think as a driver, I think it's a pretty good idea. But production, live stream wise, it proves to be a little difficult.
Yeah. I think that was the event too that Duarte went through 2 cars.
Oh yeah, I think that was that. No, was that Klutch Kickers? I think that was Klutch Kickers.
You sure?
I am not.
I thought it was that event.
Maybe you're
that
right.
Went
Yeah,
through 2 cars.
Right, because it was the Pro Spec licensing series for Formula Drift.
Right. It was that. I do remember Adam Ginkel having to battle for his 16th spot, and then I think he won, but still ended up having to retire because something broke with his car,
right?
Just to be able to make it to that battle.
Yeah, because there was 17 drivers or something like that, and he had to battle for the 16th position. There was something like that, where they still made him battle for that 16th position. He was a little upset.
Yeah. So that was that. The other highlight was we had a Drift HQ battle.
We did.
Savio going up against Duarte.
Yep.
So that was quite interesting to see. I made sure to actually run a Drift HQ commercial at the end of that battle.
Yes, you did. That's right. Yeah, that's the only commercial we had, though. I think, isn't it?
No, it wasn't. There was Tire Street.
Oh, that's right.
Tire Street had a thing there too. There was that. And then I think at the time, so if one of the drivers that I want to highlight from that event, I think one of them was Billy Mitchell. Yeah. Simply because this was like his first year really competing.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know, like, okay, well, how would he perform?
Right.
And how would he stack up against some of these other drivers? And he really came through.
Yeah. It was good. And actually, it was interesting to get Billy Mitchell on the show early on in his time, right? Like towards the beginning of his I guess his competitive drift career. And but of course, Connor O'Sully is another one that this year I'd probably say, if I had to say I was most impressed with this year, was watching Connor O'Sully compete throughout the year. And he's just such a cool guy. Like, he's so laid back. Like, every time I meet him, he's like, hey, what's up? Well, a lot of guys are. So it was interesting to watch him this year. And I think one of the most exciting things for me this year was also to see Nate Hamilton go from his car to another car and back to his car and take the win at the last round of Klutch Kickers. So that's another highlight of this year as well for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to just go, circle back to Klutch Kickers, I think there was just so many moments. The Taylor Ray against Alec Hollindale.
Yeah.
In that rain battle.
Yeah.
That was just wild. Alec Hollindale against Josiah when he ripped out the wheel, the tire.
Yeah.
From the rim. Remember that?
Yeah. And then Chelsea Denofa not doing so well, then opening his hood, touching a couple things, and all of a sudden being like totally different, massaging his engine to go faster. That was interesting. I remember that he pops up, and you're like, whoa, okay, that made a difference. Just watching Brandon McDowell ride the wall, just like a monster around Freedom Factory. There's a lot of highlights for us this year.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The controversy with Chelsea Anofa and Matt Shulman when he made contact.
The explosion in the pits.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was something we've never had happen before.
Yeah. That was that. Oh, one of the things actually I realized the other day as we were reviewing the footage, the contact with Adam LZ and Sebastian Gutierrez, that wasn't the first time. It actually happened back in round, if I recall correctly, round 1.
Really?
Yeah. But that was different in the sense that as Sebastian was exiting the turn, he spun, and then Adam, with nowhere else to go, made contact with him on the way out. So, I mean, it's not the first time both of these drivers have traded paint.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then Ryan Acevedo, unfortunately, having that hit up against the wall.
Yeah.
With his power steering going out.
Yeah.
There's that.
Savio with the car fire.
Oh, yeah.
Able to get it going back up. There's a lot of exciting things at Klutch Kickers we saw.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of exciting things. So overall, in the beginning of 2022, had you said we're going to be flying out to LS Fest, we're going to be covering King of OSW, and all these things would have happened, you'd have been part of the LZ Invitational again. We'd have been like, oh, yeah, maybe. That'd be nice, right? To potentially doing more that we can't talk about now. So, yeah, who knows what 2023 is going to bring?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the beginning, like we had an idea, but we didn't really know to what extent. And a lot of these things actually just came about like not too far from the actual event.
Right.
So for instance, the call for the LZ Invitational didn't happen, I think it was less than a month ago.
LS Fest came out like the month before, I think, right? We got like a call a month before for LS Fest.
Yeah. Fuel Fest. That's another event.
That's another event I totally forgot about. Fuel Fest was a live stream that we did. That was a live stream of a practice, but that was the first time I got to MC an event, and that was interesting to be on stage and have a lot of people look at me, and I have to focus more on being a better speaker. Using less filler words, all these things that I've been trying to improve myself as not just an announcer, but somebody talks or teaches, because I do a lot of training and teaching for work. But I was able to share the stage with Ludacris while he did perform some songs, so that was pretty cool too.
You introduced him, Tim.
Yeah, I did. I got to introduce Ludacris and Cody Walker.
Yeah, that
was definitely. It's a shame I even forgot about that. It really is.
But now talking about that, mentioning that, it ties in. It takes me back to what I was mentioning earlier about the show aspect of it. Because remember, look at the turnout that event brought to the West Palm Beach area.
Yeah,
and that wasn't a competition.
No,
that was an exhibition. And the fact that so many people just came out, it's really sort of saying something. It's like maybe competitive drifting isn't the main draw, the main attraction to a lot of these individuals, a lot of these fans that are just following the sport.
It needs to be more like just a motorsports fest where you have cars and drifting and other stuff going on, and it becomes this all-encompassing entertainment traveling show. It's like almost like a
circus.
Like, yeah, I was just gonna say like a motorsports circus, traveling motor. And that was one of the things that I always said I would have loved to do, is have the thing that's going like, the drift circus, and then you have car show, you have drifting, and then you actually bring in some freaking carnival rides, right? And just make it that thing where everybody wants to bring their family. There's gonna be cool cars there. There's gonna be a car show. You're gonna have music. You have some rides, and it makes it this festival more than just it's just a drift event. And that's really what Fuel Fest was for the most part.
Right. I think on the production side of it, it was just for me to just test out like because I had like acquired like a bunch of new equipment,
Right.
and most importantly new software. And then once I got that going, it's like, okay, I need to test it out.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I utilized that opportunity to really did that. And then by using that event, I was able to just figure out, okay, what I need, what can I do and what can't I do.
Right.
And then so that led to just doing some other streams just based on all that equipment. So,
Yeah, you learned a lot on the live streaming side. You would have to say you were able to not only learn and test out new equipment, but you're also able to get a lot of confirmation on what you're already doing by working
Right.
alongside
right,
production crews such as Project Prime,
right,
and be able to affirm that, hey, listen, I guess I'm doing the right thing.
right. And one of those things I think that we never really got to highlight and bring up is that I would say that we were in a very fortunate position to be a part of the Klutch Kickers crew,
Yes.
because then that brought us over to the Freedom Factory.
Yes.
And then Cletus just really wanted to go above and beyond a regular broadcast and brought in professionals. And those professionals really showed us just a whole different side of what we can do and what our abilities are, can be that we never really knew before.
Right.
You get me?
Yeah, I get you, yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, the organizational side of it, the formatting of it,
Right.
just the show aspect of it. Because for us before, it was just like, okay, well, who's
production
the
side.
driver?
Yeah.
Who's the driver? Where is he from? What are the sponsors? Okay, what is he going to go out there to do?
Right.
Right. What's he out there doing
Right.
the play-by-play? But then he came about to us like, hey, look, like, it's about the story. It's about getting information on these individuals to
Right.
just, what are they about?
Right.
And I think just taking those lessons really sort of helped improve us on just the announcing
Right.
and all the other things that we do.
Yeah, it showed us that there's more to announcing than just trying to provide information.
Right.
Because we got, I heard,
That's on the simple
on the simple side, where some people said that they wish we went in more detail on certain things,
right.
that they don't particularly understand why we announced the Klutch Kickers the way we did this season.
Okay.
That, right, okay, there's information that could be more descriptive, or there's certain things that we could say or information we can provide to the audience that the vast majority audience may not understand, right? But that minority audience may want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, they're looking for more on that end, but understand that this season of Klutch Kickers, the focus of the production crew was more on education of what drifting is, educating those new drifters, and building that story. So and between that and the way Klutch Kickers runs their event, very fast pace, left little room for these dragged out, over specific explanations on certain things that we didn't necessarily have time to do, because our focus was more on building anticipation to the next battle, or getting a little deeper behind the drivers, doing the I think what was the clip they called? They call it meet the driver segments.
Yeah.
That's what the production was about, and that's one of the things that we were told we need to focus on, right? Not so much about all the specifics of every call and breakdown, which I thought we did a pretty good job. If you go back and watch it, when there would be a call that was like being scrutinized, and the live stream was watching the replays over and over and over again, I thought we were pretty clear on covering every aspect of what the judges were going to be looking at and how they're analyzing those runs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That every time we'd watch, okay, well, this is probably where they're focusing. Remember, we weren't the judges, and we weren't talking directly to the judges constantly.
Yeah.
It was like they were deliberating next to us, but not where we're talking. We're there. We're supposed to be talking constantly, trying to give a lot of information. So we can only speculate as to what the judges were actually saying. And at the end, if the call went a certain way, then we were able to affirm, yes, okay, that is where they made that call.
Right.
I don't know why. I really watching back some of the calls and some of the live streams. I don't even know. I really honestly don't know what more information somebody could want, because I felt that those calls that took time to scrutinize the judging, we delivered about as much information as he could. And then the call was made, then you move on to the next. Once the call is made, this is the call made, this is why they made the call, let's go on to the next thing. There's no reason to harp on each run. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And like you mentioned, the speculation part is that we had no communication. So the only thing that we could just base it off of is that if they're running the replays and they're running a specific segment of the run on the replays
Kinda
over
obvious.
and over,
Yeah.
and they're zooming in, enhancing
Wonder what they're thinking about.
of on this certain part, and then the only thing we can think of is like, okay, well, it seems as though the lead driver may have dropped a tire,
Right.
and depending on
Right.
depending on whether or not he drops a tire or two may determine the outcome of the run. But we don't know for sure because we're not
the judges.
we're
It's
now
not
not
our
only
call.
are we not the judges, but at the same time the judges never spoke to us about what they're going to be reviewing the replays on.
Exactly.
And it's only until after it's done, their deliberations or reviews, that we can maybe figure out, like, throw a question over to them like, hey,
Yeah.
was it about this?
Right.
And they could just tell us quickly yes or no, so that we could just be like, okay, well, folks, we just spent 15 minutes going over this replay, and
Right.
now we've gotten confirmation that they were in fact going over what we outlined.
Exactly. So that was, I think that was an interesting comment that I heard that wasn't expecting to hear in a certain way. But let us know what more information we could put, because we are always looking to grow,
Right.
and we do want to provide not just the best entertainment value, I guess. You're not there to listen to us or watch us, right? But we need to be able to capture the audience and make sure that they're educated, but at the same time doing it in a way that doesn't highlight ourselves but highlights the drivers. And that's our focus. Our focus is not us, our focus is on the drivers, and that's always what it's been. Even when we ran events back in the day before we were doing this, our focus was always on the drivers, teaching the drivers and focusing on getting the drivers enough seat time and make it affordable, just like Tommy. Like the way Tommy does things, if we ever got county line back again, that's exactly, we go right back into doing the same thing, right? So our focus has always been on the drivers and spending time with the drivers, and we just love drifting so much. We don't do this because we make money on it. We have our own jobs. This is what we do because we love to do it. So,
Yep.
But
I think that's a great way to just end the show.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely a great recap of everything. That just kind of a portion of what happened this year. It was a
Yes.
lot. I mean, we didn't go into detail with everything, but for the most part, it gives you a sense of some of our trials and tribulations, some of the things we hope to improve upon,
Yep.
some of the things that didn't go as well as we expected. But hey, we are, you live and you learn. And like you mentioned, we're always willing to just, take advice or,
Yes.
to get feedback.
absolutely.
Because I mean, we will be the first to admit we're not professionals,
No,
but
no, not at all. We just like talking about drifting and figured we'll throw some cameras on us and do it.
yeah,
And just
exactly.
get together, hang out. It gives us a reason to get together.
Yeah. And so we appreciate those that tune in, that support us, that just check out the live streams and just everything that we do, because it's been great. It's been a blast, and we hope to do more.
Yeah, and don't forget, shoot us a message and I'll send you guys a shirt. Send me your size, send me your address. And I need to get rid of these things. So I'm just my wife's been like, you gotta get rid of these shirts. They're they're filling up my closet.
Yeah. But folks, thank you for tuning in. It's been a wonderful 2022.
Yep.
We'll be back next year. We don't know exactly what date. We'll have to get that those dates finalized.
So it's important to subscribe and lock in, so that way you guys know what's coming up.
Yeah, and follow us on the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. You know,
And if there's any topics, anybody, if you guys are those of you guys that do watch, if you want us to cover anything or say, hey, listen, we'll talk about this. Give us some topics.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we covered a pretty wide range today. But yeah, it should be fun. Should be interesting. To 2023 is already looking pretty promising. And
busy.
Busy. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But yeah, folks, enjoy the holidays. Enjoy the new year. And we hope to catch you next time. Appreciate all the support. And we'll catch you next time.
Peace out.